News Talk, 94.5 WPTI, 96.7 WTOB. And you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you to retire that job, but keep your paycheck. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and with me today is Mr. Brice Payne. Good morning, Brice.
Good morning, Doug. How you doing?
I'm good.
How's your football teams doing?
I'm pulling for the Skins now.
Okay, yeah, I was a little surprised that Detroit fell out of it. I was really hoping this would be their year, but of course, yours and my team, we fell out of it last weekend.
Let's do it
together. But anyway, we're both looking better for next year. All right, well, let's go ahead and get into this show here, Doug. We've got 7 questions you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. So if you're out there and you're maybe 50, 55, you're kind of got that retirement age or date in the foreground there, and you're trying to arrange things, here are 7 questions you should be able to answer. Now, before we get into the show, as we always want to do 2 things. Let's start off, Doug. I'll go ahead and let you lead the Wealth Guardian Service Salute. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's about honoring and respecting our veterans, our service members, and especially our first responders. As remember, those firefighters out in California this past week, 2 weeks really, fighting those horrific fires. I mean, man, I salute you.
Yeah, my cousin's husband is one of those, and her son, their son. So it is a brutal job, and so we want to also acknowledge the families and extend our gratitude towards them as well. It is not easy, particularly what you just described, Doug, for a family to be sitting at home or having to pack up, leaving, knowing that the husband or whoever it is, member of the family, has to be out there remaining and fighting for it. So you guys particularly are in our thoughts here at the Wealth Guardians this weekend morning. Thank you for all that you do. And Doug, we've got a better get to know your Wealth Guardians financial planner. That's something else we do here every week. In fact, this is the 1-year anniversary of us doing that. So we'll go ahead and what is the question that we've got for ourselves this week here, Doug?
What is your favorite cuisine?
Well,
that's a big word, man.
Cuisine. Yeah. My favorite cuisine is Mexican, or what we know as Mexican food here. Burritos, tacos, enchiladas, all of that, taco salad. That's my personal favorite. I've been known to love a few Italian dishes as well. But what about you?
That's a tough question for me to answer because I like so many different foods. I mean, wow.
American can go in there too. Well, don't forget American cuisine.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I like Mexican. I like steak. I like seafood. I mean,
if it's edible, you like it.
Except liver.
Oh.
You can rule out liver.
I never liked that either. It was back when I was eating red meat. I could not stand that. That and lima beans were up there as the 2.
Now I like lima beans.
Oh, that Texas
lima beans and pinto beans. That's the good stuff, man.
All right.
Well-dyed peas.
Well, no, that's okay. All right, well, there you go. So we'll ask you as well. What is your favorite cuisine out there? That's just a little question we ask ourselves once a week here, just so you can get a better sense of who we are here at the Wealth Guardians. If you ever decide to come in and sit down with us, you kind of have a sense of that we're real people just like you out there. So let's go ahead and get on this show here, Doug. 7 questions that you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. So this is for people out there who kind of getting their sights set on when maybe they can turn in their old resignation slip and enjoy retirement. And as that day or date approaches, however many years it is away, 10 years away, 2 years away, there's 7 questions that we've come up with that you should be able to answer as you approach that date. And so, Doug, the first question that somebody out there should be able to answer. So here you go. This is for you out there. If you are approaching retirement, here are 7 questions for you. See if you can answer them. What is the maximum that you can contribute to your 401k this year? Doug, why is that important?
Well, it's important to know because if you're contributing to a 401k, if you over-contribute, then you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to refile your taxes and amend them and you got to take the money out and all that other stuff. At the same time, you need to know how much you can contribute if you are the type of person that wants to save for retirement. Bryce, I'm always surprised at how little people know about their own 401k. I've been with a company for 20 plus years and don't know the ins and outs of their 401k.
That's exactly right. So do you out there listening to this question, do you know what the maximum is you can contribute to your 401k? Well, this year in 2025, it's $23,500. But if you are over 59 and a half, then you are allowed to contribute a catch-up amount as well, which is an additional $7,500. So there you go, $23,500. That's up $500 from last year in 2024. Not a huge increase. And so if you are over 59, then you can contribute additionally on top of that $7,500. As Doug said, this is something you should know so that you can keep an eye on what your contributions are. And if you've got extra spending money there and you do want to be able to take advantage of the tax benefits the 401k offer, then that is for you as a number you should know.
And keep in mind, Congress every year does increase it based on the cost of living.
That's right.
So it'll go up every year.
That's right. And it just went up this year as well. All right. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray. And this morning we are talking about 7 questions that you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. So we're testing you out there. If you're approaching retirement, can you answer these questions? The second one, Doug, what federal tax bracket did you fall into last year? Now, this is an interesting one. The general joint tenant, if you're filing jointly, tax brackets are 0%, 12%, 22%, 24%, 32%, 35%, and the highest tax bracket right now is 37%. Why would that be important to know, Doug?
Well, it's very important, especially if you are considering doing any Roth conversions.
Okay.
We use these brackets all the time with our clients doing Roth conversions because we want to know where they fall. We want to know how much room they have between their current bracket and then the next higher bracket.
Right.
And take advantage of that and get that money converted every year.
That's right. So if you're filing a joint with your spouse, most often than not, if you have earned income, you're going to fall in that 22 to 24% tax bracket. Sometimes if you've retired and you don't have any earned income anymore, you might jump down to that or hop down to that 12% tax bracket. But that is the more common tax brackets for you to be in. We don't, you can, if you're making quite a bit of money, you're still working, then you could fall in that 32% tax bracket, but that's up there quite a bit.
And here's the other thing people, I think, don't really understand. They don't understand that the tax code is progressive and how that affects them.
We're going to come up on the next question here. Yes, good point. But before we jump into the question number 3 here, just want to remind you all, we are financial planners here at the Wealth Guardians. We are fiduciaries. That means when we ever make a recommendation on how to make changes to your portfolio or your strategies, we are obligated to act in your best interests. And if you're out there shopping around for a financial planner and you're not sure what you should be looking for in one, that would be the first question I would recommend that you ask. Are you obligated to operate on the fiduciary standard? There's another standard out there that you can operate on, the suitability standard, which is a lower degree of effectiveness for the client. So we operate on the fiduciary standard. We're obligated to based on the certificates and licenses that we hold here at the Wealth Guardians. And if you are interested in sitting down with a financial planner to see how your retirement might play out and perhaps what things that you could do to improve your retirement picture, there is no cost. There is no obligation to sit down with us here at the Wealth Guardians. All you got to do is pick up a phone and give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also reach out to us via our website, thewealthguardians.com. As I said, no cost or obligation. And Doug, by and large, the comments that we get back from somebody who goes through our 4-meeting process with us is the most eye-opening and thorough financial planning process that they've ever been through.
I mean, we hear that just about every meeting.
Yep, it's very common.
Especially once they get through the second meeting.
Right. So if you're approaching retirement and there's no cost or obligation to you, why wouldn't you sit down with a holistic financial planner who's a fiduciary just to see if there's anything that you're not doing that you should be doing to enhance your retirement picture? So there you go. That's what we recommend for you. Now, Doug, in this last question, we said, what federal tax bracket did you fall into last year? That's one of the questions somebody should know. And you started to alluding to this next question. What was your federal effective tax rate last year? Not your tax bracket, but your tax rate.
Yeah, I guess, Brice, I probably should have read the radio script ahead of time.
That's okay. You know how to do this better than I do, so we'll give you some. We'll give you that one. So you go ahead and talk about this, Doug. What's the difference between your tax bracket and your effective tax rate?
Yeah, most people don't really understand that. They don't realize that our tax code is progressive, meaning there's a certain amount of your income that you don't even pay taxes on.
Standard deduction.
Just standard deduction. And most retirees, that's basically all you have is a standard deduction because most of you don't have enough mortgage interest to write off anymore. So you've got that basically at a 0% bracket. So if you got a certain amount of income at a 0% bracket, then you go into the 12% bracket, then your overall tax rate is not 12%.
No.
It's something less than that.
That's right. It might only be a few dollars that kick you into that 12% tax bracket.
Right.
That does not mean that you pay 12% on all of your earned income.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of people, what you have to do is you have to calculate how much did you pay the 0% tax rate? How much did you pay at that 12%? How much did you pay at the 22 and maybe the 24? It might be that you just had $1 that got you into that 24% tax bracket, but that's no big deal because you only paid 24% tax on that $1.
That's right.
Not the entire thing.
Yep.
So there you go. So that is the difference between your federal tax bracket and your federal effective tax rate, I would say, and I think Doug would agree with me. The effective tax rate is the much more important question to be looking at. So there you go. All right, well, we got to go ahead and take a break here, but as we always do, we have got a trivia question. And Doug, are you ready for the trivia question?
Probably not.
Sure you are. So here we go. Doug, on January 23rd in 1737, this founding father was born. He was the first governor of Massachusetts. He graduated Harvard at 17 years old. He was a key instigator of the Boston Tea Party. And his famous quote is, King George should be able to read that.
Okay.
What founding father is having his 288th year birthday this week? All right. Stick around for the answer to that trivia question to see if we stump Doug on the other side of this short break. This is Brice Payne. With me is Doug Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio, along with Doug Ray this weekend morning. And in this segment, we're going to continue our discussion on 7 things that you should know as you prepare for retirement. Now, before we answer the trivia question that we left you and Doug hanging with at the end of our last segment, I'm going to ask you this. Are you planning to retire? Okay, hopefully the answer to that is yes, if you haven't already. Have you met with a retirement income certified professional who's also a fiduciary? So if you haven't, I want to invite you to take us up on a complimentary review of your current situation. As certified retirement planning specialists, we'll put together a customized written plan with strategies for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and the fees of your current plan. So if you put aside at least $400,000 and want to take us up on this no-cost, no-obligation review, give us a call, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also go to thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. Let us show you in black and white how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. All right, let's go ahead and get back to this trivia question that we left you and Doug hanging with here. Doug, on January 23rd in 1737, this founding father was born. He was the first governor of Massachusetts. He graduated Harvard at age 17, was a key instigator of the Boston Tea Party, and his famous quote is, King George should be able to read that. Who is this founding father?
Well, you put in a lot of hints there, but I'm still going to guess. John Adams?
Oh, very close. You got the first name right.
Oh,
King George should be able to read that. John Hancock,
okay.
the biggest signer of you had the biggest signature right there in the middle on the Declaration of
I
Independence.
don't know why I was thinking presidents.
Yet, didn't say he was a president.
No, you did not. That's right.
There are some founding fathers out there like Thomas Paine and Ben Franklin, who were founding fathers that helped create the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and yet never served as president for one reason or the other. But you got the first name right, so we'll give you half of that.
All right.
All right.
I'll take it.
So I think half of our founding fathers.
Whatever I can get.
John. All right, let's go ahead and get back to these 7 questions you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. Doug, the next one is, does your 401k allow in-service rollovers? This is something that when we talk to somebody who's come in and sat down with us, they've never heard the term
Yes,
this rollover. And They don't know what that is, and they have no idea how they would find that out. What is an in-service rollover?
Well, when you're 59 and a half, it's the ability for you to roll over what's in your 401k to an outside IRA so you can get it diversified.
Even if you're still working with the company?
Even if you're still working, you're still part of your 401k, you still contribute it. If the company matches, you still get that. But this came about after the dot-com bust, when so many folks lost so much money in their 401ks because they had it invested in company stock like Enron. And here in this part of the world, in the Triad area, we had a lot of folks who Western Electric and AT&T, which got rolled into Lucent. And of course, Lucent lost a ton of money, and our folks here in this area lost a lot of money too. So now they have the ability, most 401ks,
not all of them, but
not all, most 401ks have that in-service rollover capability.
That's right. So if you've never heard of that, all you have to do is pick up the phone and go to your HR department. If they don't know, they can point you in the direction of who you would have to ask and just see, hey, if I'm 59 and a half, am I eligible to do an in-service rollover of my 401k? Doug, why would somebody want to do that? What's wrong with the investments that they have available to them in there for?
Well, there may be nothing wrong with them, but you got a whole more smorgasbord of other investments you can invest in an outside IRA. I mean, it's just unlimited, really.
Yeah, a 401k, you generally have, 20 or so mutual funds to choose from, maybe some company stock. But there is hundreds of thousands of investments out there that are eligible to be invested in through an IRA.
Yeah.
So if you have the opportunity to move your money from a 401k into an IRA, it's not a taxable event to do that. A lot of people are surprised by that. It's very easy to do. And at that point, now you've got the potential for real professional management of your IRA rather than just that kind of passive management that most 401ks offer. So that is a question that you would need to know if you're approaching retirement. Does your 401k allow in-service rollovers? So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show. In our second segment here, we're continuing 7 questions you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. The next one we've got here is, what is your Social Security full retirement age and full retirement age benefit? So let's repeat that. As you're approaching retirement, you should be able to answer this question. What is your Social Security full retirement age? Your full retirement age is either age 66 and some months, so 66, 2 months, 66, 4 months, or if you were born after 1960, then your full retirement age is age 67. That's your full retirement age. You should know that. And more importantly, you should know what your full retirement age benefit is. Doug, Social Security is one of the main sources of income for most people in retirement.
Yeah, it is. And, these numbers are so important to you. I would suggest everybody, at least once a year, go online at socialsecurityssa.gov and pull their statement. That statement has a wealth of information in it. It'll even tell you, most people don't know this, but it'll even tell you how much you've contributed over your life and how much your company has contributed over your life. So then you can do the math and see how long it's going to take you to break even once you turn your benefit on.
There you go. Yeah, there's something called the break-even age. You would want to know what that is. And more importantly, or just as importantly, Doug, a lot of times the Social Security Administration has made a mathematical error in how much you have contributed to your Social Security benefits over the years. And we've seen that. I'd say it's somewhere around 15 to 20% of the time. There is an error on the math that they've done. They listed out every year what you've contributed, and you can look at it yourself and see if there's any errors in there or omissions in there. But Doug, when they do make a mistake, in my finding, it is essentially 100% of the time that mistake does not work in your favor.
Yeah.
It works in their favor.
Right.
So you want to make sure that you're printing out that statement from your Social Security Administration from when you log in and just see if they've got all the numbers right on how much over the years you've contributed to your Social Security benefit. And then what is that benefit at your full retirement age? That's going to be a key calculation that you and your financial planner do so that they can answer the question for you. Are you able to retire when you want to?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a huge question.
And I don't want to hear the excuse, I don't worry about it because I'll never get it. You're going to get your Social Security.
That's exactly right. Yep. Now, will somebody who is 30 years old, will they make changes to Social Security benefits for them?
You bet they will.
Very likely. But if you're approaching retirement and maybe you're 60 years old, 55 years old, and you've got that in the forefront there coming down the train tracks at you, that light that is the retirement light shining on you, they are probably not going to change your Social Security benefits. Why? because they know that you've already relied on them. And would you vote for that congressman if they voted to change your Social Security benefits? Probably not. And what is every congressman's number one goal is to get reelected. So that's why they're probably not going to change your benefits. Doesn't mean that fiscally it shouldn't be done. It probably should. But as far as what they're actually going to do, Congress is not known to act in a fiscally responsible way. All right. Let's get on to the next one. And this is the sixth question of questions that you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. How much would your current portfolio drop if the market were to drop 50% again like it did in 2008? Your current portfolio. Doug, that is a massive question.
That is.
And we come to an answer for that. When we sit down with somebody and analyze their current portfolio, we have the software that takes a look at their current portfolio, their investments in there, how much they've got in each of those investments. And we've got a software that goes ahead and rewinds the clock to 2008, the financial crisis. And it shows us what the market did at that time period and what this current portfolio would do today if that financial crisis happened again. Why is that important, Doug?
Well, because it measures the risk that you have in your portfolio and your risk tolerance. And that's what we try to do with our folks coming to see us, is we want to compare the risk in their portfolio to the risk tolerance they have. That way, when the market drops, if your portfolio is married up to your risk tolerance score, then you're not going to have those big old butterflies in your stomach. And what we find is most people have no clue how much risk they're taking on in their portfolio. You know, we measure it on a scale of 1 to 100. And to give you an idea, the S&P 500 measures that at about a 75.
Okay.
Most people come in here, we look at their 401ks, and we see something from 60 to 75, something like that, and they think they're probably conservative.
Yeah.
30s, 40s.
The first thing we do is we analyze their risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And you're going to come up with a number based on all these questions that you answer. We get a feel of what kind of risks you're comfortable taking and what kind of risks you're not comfortable taking. And that'll produce a score between 1 and 100. If you had a risk tolerance score of 1, that means you would just as soon have all of your money in the bank. You don't want to see it drop a dime. If you have a risk tolerance score of 100, that means you're very comfortable with risk. You're comfortable with your portfolio dropping 75, 80%. Well, hopefully you're neither one of those two if you're approaching retirement. But as Doug said, let's say that we evaluate your risk tolerance and it comes out to be a 35, which is maybe pretty close to where it should be for somebody who's approaching retirement. But then we analyze the risk on your portfolio and it comes out to be a 70. Well, that's a problem, right?
It is a problem.
If your risk tolerance is way down here, but the risk in your current portfolio is way up here, that's a problem. So we help, Doug, when we have somebody come in and go through our 4-meeting planning process. This is some of the information that we go through and go over with the people sitting down with us in the second meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you this. Do you know what the risk score is on your current portfolio, or how much your portfolio is in line to lose if another 2008 financial crisis happened? If you don't know the answer to that, then you probably want to sit down with a financial planner to get that and to get some other answers to how retirement is looking for you. Here's how you do that. If you want to sit down with a fiduciary, holistic financial planners who are fiduciaries, obligated to act in your best interest, there's no easier way for you to do that than to pick up the phone and give us a call at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. You can also reach out to us at thewealthguardians.com. There is no cost or obligation to do that. Doug, we're running out of time here, but the seventh one, you want to talk about this?
Ray, let's, we don't have enough time to do it,
Okay.
do it justice. Let's do it for the next show.
We're leaving them with a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So number 7, you got to tune in next week to see what is that 7th question that you should be able to answer as you approach retirement. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week. I want to thank you for joining us. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne, along with Doug Ray. The show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And I want you to remember, sound financial plans do not create themselves. This is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. This is 96.7 FM WTOB.